Hello, welcome. We have an incredible podcast today. Meeting Gold. This guy interviewed me on my first podcast. I've been looking to get you on for a while, Chris.
Thank you.
Know I've been wanting. We've had a lot of real estate agents and mortgage guys on, but
bro, that's it. Needed the real deal.
Oh yeah, I guess I needed the real deal. Okay, yeah, but no. A little backstory. Chris kind of invited me on the podcast. I reached out to him a while ago about making some videos, and then we'll get into like creating content. And then he was like, "Hey man, see what you're doing. Want to come on the podcast?" And we got in touch that way, and then we've been good friends ever since. Just kind of like busy grinding it out, just
that's it,
killing
man.
it,
Yeah.
like loving what we do. Chris actually sponsors with his business 416 the coffee. Chris, if you want to take a sip, give us a little
there we go.
for the mic there, the audio listeners. But Chris
coffee.
sponsors us, 416 Coffee. We've been giving it to all of the people, the guests that come on. They love it, man. Can't say anything about it. They just love it. Beautiful. So Chris, give us a little background, man. Where you came from, who you are. Short 1-2 minutes. Give it to the audience here.
Okay, my name's Chris Battagli. I own 416 Coffee. Me and my partner Carm, who's also my dad. But I'm just he's been Carm to me forever.
Yeah, yeah.
Me and my dad look ridiculously alike, which is funny because as a kid I'd call him Carm, and people would think like, oh, maybe it's his stepdad or something, right? And then people would see us and be like, that's definitely not his fucking stepdad. So anyways, me and Carm started 416 Coffee under that name 6 years ago. I grew up in St. Catharines, Niagara Falls, grew up racing cars semi-professionally. Always been entrepreneurial. Me and my buddy had a t-shirt business in high school where we sold like gym merch to people.
No way.
Yeah, I also sold personal training plans, even though I was not fit at the time. So yeah, just always a hustler, looking for things to do, sales skills.
That personal touch, like you always have it.
Yeah.
You've always had it.
Always been interested in kind of like number one, making a buck, like business always interested me. Probably because I grew up, I'd say like lower middle class, where like I saw my parents struggle sometimes, and that inspired me to be like, okay, money can't be a barrier in my life. Yeah. And then in racing, it was such a different world for me because I was heavily sponsored. That's the only reason why I was able to compete, because obviously we're talking like insane money to race a car.
Oh yeah, it's not cheap. Yeah.
Insane, like hundreds of thousands of dollars a season. Yeah. So heavily sponsored racing cars, and I got to see people there with like real wealth, like people that had like insane trailers, insane cars.
Yep.
You know, people that learned how to drive stick. I remember racing with one girl in California, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I learned how to drive stick on my dad's Maserati." Like,
oh my god,
shit like that, right?
Yeah,
so I'm around this shit, and I'm like, okay, this is where I want to get to. Like, I need to figure out how I'm gonna make money, because I don't like this situation I'm in right now. I was always a happy kid. I never wanted for anything, but I knew that wealth, that financial freedom was kind of my way to live a better life, give a better life to my friends and family. So that was kind of the genesis. And entrepreneurship for me, like, I hate working for people. I don't do well taking direction.
If you follow Chris on his Instagram, whether it's his personal, well, more business wise with the whole branding thing, is that you can tell your branding is you. When you, like, if you don't know Chris personally, you'll meet him on the podcast, and you can kind of see, if you were to go to the social media, you'd be able to see this is literally his personality just thrown on an Instagram page that has thousands of followers and does a lot of business a year just because his branding and his coffee is amazing.
That's it.
So let's get into that. I would love to talk more about your background. There's so much to touch on, but you are just doing such a unique way of branding your business right now that it's like, we can't skip that. I want to use all the time we can on that. So if you're cool with that, we'll get into it.
Let's jam.
So starting the business 6 years ago, where'd the idea come from? Why did you want to start a business? Was it your idea? Did Carm say, we got to start a business? And how'd you get good coffee?
Yeah. So, Carm comes back from Italy as a kid, starts repairing espresso machines, learns how to roast coffee with his cousin John, who roasted coffee in Toronto. Carm ends up buying a roaster on like an insane deal. Crazy story there. You should have Carm on one day.
Get me connected with them, because that would be really cool.
It'd be sick. So Carm, crazy backstory, ends up with a roaster, roast coffee, mainly dealing with the States. 08 hits. States goes to zero. Carm has a bunch of like outstanding like kind of accounts receivable there.
Yeah.
Everyone is going bankrupt, shutting doors. Carm loses out on like tens of thousands of dollars. Wow. Gets out of the coffee business, and opens up a restaurant that I kind of like grew up working in a little bit, like in my late high school years.
Dishwasher, then waiter, then cash guy, then everything, right?
That's assuming we had that many positions to fill. Honestly, one guy ran the whole place at all times.
Really?
So it was me on Saturdays. We went to nightclubs. It was crazy. Anyways, that's like a late high school. And then I'm like 19. I'm looking at the market in the Niagara region, and I'm like, hey, there is a massive need for specialty coffee here. No one's doing it. No one was doing specialty. No one was roasting coffee. We have all this equipment still in storage. So I'm like, Carm, let's do this. So we open it up, and we open up just the factory. We're making like no money, and we start going exclusively business to business. Now, the original idea is like, oh, we're 416 Coffee. We'll go sell coffee to Toronto restaurants and shit.
Right.
Horrible idea.
Okay, but I wouldn't think that.
Yes, I understand. So I didn't think it was a bad idea either, right? And then you get there and you're like, oh shit. Number one, there's a bunch of other roasters in Toronto at least.
Yep.
But number two, it was like, so if you have a craft beer brand, you bring that brand to a bar, the bar can carry it and still carry 7 other kinds.
Right.
With coffee, if you go to a restaurant, you're displacing their current provider. Now, in the industry, a lot of people provide equipment, things like that, right? So we have no money to buy people equipment. So we're going in there trying to be like, oh, we have a better product. And even if the people admitted that we had a better product, it was still like, well, these other guys give me the machine. They do this, they do that. So the cost of switching was too high. So we couldn't fucking turn anyone to us. We slowly got traction, but it was kind of a losing
you may have
battle.
gotten like a few, but realistically, nothing.
We were never going to build the business to like the scale that we both wanted going about it this way.
Yeah.
So then we're kind of smashing our head off the fucking wall. And I decide, like, I'm like, hey, our factory's in the middle of nowhere. You came there to do the podcast.
Yeah.
I decide, I'm like, hey, let's open up the factory to the public on Saturdays. We'll make an advertisement. We'll give away free coffee to anyone who comes. And all we'll do is sell bags. And I remember, so I start running ads against it. And
Which is genius. Stop right there. Hold on. That's genius because stupid people can't know that. To give away free coffee so that you're confident in your brand that they'll like it, that you'll sell, that they'll buy the bags.
Yeah, it was like reciprocity effect if you want to look at like consumer behavior, right? The idea that you get something for free, you feel like a need to buy something.
Now, what did Carm say about that?
My dad, like, for what it's worth, Carm has always been like, he's down to try anything.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's good.
Always.
Yeah.
Never like, honestly, especially something like that. He's like, yeah, fuck it. Like, let's do it. And we were beating our heads off the wall. Like nothing was really.
You got nothing to lose. You may as well just give it a shot.
Exactly.
So keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. So we start doing these Saturdays, and I meet one of my friends there on the second day. One of my closest friends now, my buddy James, works corporate for Nike, and he was like, I fucking knew what you were doing. You got like testing a market, and I'm like, yeah, like that's what it turned out to be. So people start coming in, and we're getting good feedback on the coffee. And people are kind of like interested in like, they're coming to the back. They're seeing the coffee roaster. They're seeing the green beans. They're seeing this whole process.
So you're selling a lifestyle almost behind.
Well, just like, man, a lot of people didn't even know coffee came green, right? Like there's this whole education product that we're doing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So they're buying, the story becomes very tangible because it's such a different coffee experience, right? So they're there. The factory is very unpolished, raw cement floors and everything. People are really having this experience there. So we start developing that. And then we start looking for a retail location. Now, on the side, like before this, I'd run a marketing business. I'd saved up a shit ton of money. Not a shit ton, sorry. For me at the time, a shit ton.
Yeah.
But I'd saved up enough money that I could invest pretty much everything and we could open up a retail spot. So me and Carm start looking. We find like the 200 square foot closet that we then turn into the first 416 location. And we just get shit on the whole time. Like me and Carm are building this place. And I remember people coming by and they're like, oh, what are you going to open here? We're like, oh, we're opening up a coffee shop. And they're like, there's a Balzac's down the street? And that was like the narrative the whole time, just getting shit on the whole time. So, yeah, I just poured like our life savings into this business, getting shit on the entire time that we're fucking.
So, but hold on. Why did you know that it would beat out Balzac's? Because I want to ask you that. It's like, there's a Starbucks, there's Balzac's.
Yeah.
Why you guys? Why does somebody choose your coffee?
So if you go into a Balzac's, I mean, like not the shit on Balzac's, but I mean, to me, it was like a very old vibe. Like I'm a young guy. Like I don't think I was like, okay, like people aren't gonna wanna. This is like very old. It felt outdated. The actual product, in my opinion, because obviously taste is subjective. Like the actual product, we could do a much better job of doing something with the product. And then the other thing was like the people working at any of those places don't know anything about coffee. So our staff is like highly trained to help you buy coffee for home.
Oh, okay. So
Sam,
you're qualifying them.
Sam, the end fucking play here. I'll tell you right now. I'll give up the game right now. We're a retail play, not a food and beverage play.
Right.
And everyone else is a food and beverage play. That is the fucking difference. That is the quantitative difference. We are David's Tea, not Starbucks.
Interesting.
And that's the biggest difference with our model that allows us to be successful and allows us to staff differently, allows us to manage things differently. The other thing is like we don't sleep. We're always coming up with like there's always new drinks. There's always exciting stuff. We're coming up with crazy ways to market. Like
new branding ideas,
always. I gave away free pizzas with every bag of coffee sold one day from Rolling Pizza. I had stacks of pizza there. I was giving them out. Like shit that people like. A purple elephant. You ever read Seth Godin's book, Purple Cow? Sorry,
I've heard of it. Yep.
Yeah. So the idea is like shit that like you can't help but tell your friends about. Be like, yeah, I went to this coffee place. I bought a bag and I got a pizza. Like I got an entire pizza like right there that was hot. Like what? Like yeah, they were giving away free pizzas.
Yeah,
like, we gave away sneakers. My buddy James hooked me up with like 20 pairs of sneakers.
Are you serious?
People walked out with brand new Air Max 90s for buying a bag of coffee.
Holy smokes!
Yeah. Yeah, man.
That's so unconventional.
Crazy. So, but like shit, I got our name out there. People were talking about us. People were interested in what we had to do. So, yeah, I think whenever we enter a market, yeah, we're going to obviously, we have a great quality product. Our staff is trained so well. They do a fantastic job of educating people on coffees to buy at home. And then on top of that, we'll just give people a lot of value in the most random ways and just be kind of like a cool, like a place that's a little more fresh, a little cool, something different, right?
Not outdated. It's just like you said, it's like a cool place.
It's a cool place.
And what's funny is it's your personality all over it, which is good.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's this personal touch that you get from buying this coffee, buying these bags. It's like, it can't be, because it's like, it's not a company, it's a person.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
416 Coffee definitely has its own like vibe, feel, and it's like not. I'd say we don't fit into like the regular kind of third wave coffee shop vibe. We're not like them, but we're not second wave. We're like our own entity.
No, really, you are, because you look at like a Starbucks or like a Balzac's. You're right. They don't know much about the coffee. You're going in there saying, "Hey, can I get this cup?" Well, you might not even know, right? So having the staff that ask like, well, what do you have at home? Can I help you maybe, decide on, oh no, this bag's better, right?
Yeah.
That training, it makes people feel so much more confident in purchasing coffee, bags, whatever it is.
Yeah, like what happened with me there was, maybe we can tag Arlene Dickinson in this one. She can retrain them. But
yeah, Arlene, yeah.
I was there and I was like, there was a bag of coffee on the wall and it said Katura. Now, Katura is a dwarf varietal of a coffee plant.
Right.
So I asked the girl working, like, oh, what does Katura mean? And she just kind of looked at me blankly, like, what? I'm like, Katura, it's on the bag. Like, what does it mean? Do you know? And she's like, oh, no, I don't. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, no worries. Like, I just went about my prodding of, but right there, I was like, man, they don't even know what's on the shelf. They don't know what they're talking about. Wow. The other thing is with that brand in particular, man, you can buy their coffee cheaper at grocery stores. So I never understood. I don't understand there's a lot of channel conflict there.
That's true. Yeah.
But that's besides the point.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, that's a lot to unpack. I want to talk a little bit about now in networking, but social media.
Yes, sir.
We'll tag, it's just 416_coffee. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
416_coffee.
Yep.
Super simple. Check it out because you'll understand kind of why I'm asking these questions. We were talking a little about this before, but like video, photos, stories, the whole shebang. You have this almost like this light that you throw on. It looks fantastic. It fits with the brand. It looks great on your Instagram, right? I'm just from a video perspective, it's smart. Like it might be unconventional, but you know that's a 416 video when you see it on your feed. You don't even have to look up and see. Right?
Yeah.
It's really interesting. And then you get your staff involved on Instagram by asking them questions, taking pictures with them, really giving that personal touch. Like they're here, they're ready to serve your coffee. I want to talk a little bit about your video. because you almost have like this unconventional style to the videos where it's not polished, it's not ironed out, but it's really cool. Like it works. I can see it. It works. You get a lot of traction, get a lot of engagement, and you pretty much do it yourself. So talk a little bit about that. Like, what was that process? Have you ever considered hiring video, or are you happy with what you're doing now? And the reason I'm asking this really short is because business owners who don't have the budget to get video or even have the option to do that, why can they do it on their own?
Yeah, so I'd say number one, obviously like I said, I had that marketing business and I invested a lot in equipment then. So I have like a couple DSLRs, gimbals, a drone, some mics. I have some equipment. So like for the average business owner, some of the stuff I do might be more challenging. But man, some of the best content I make is like unpolished shit where I'm just like, I have my GoPro in my face.
Yeah.
You could do it with the latest smartphone too, for sure. And you're just giving people like quick tips or something really digestible like that. And I'd say like, well, number one, it started out of necessity. I didn't have the money to hire anyone. So it was like, I'm just going to rip out this content myself. Coffee with Chris, the first like 60 episodes are shot in my basement on a DSLR with a mic. And like, I had like a massive extension cord running so I could heat up kettles and stuff. So it's just like, where there's a will, there's a way, right? So if you're a small business owner, man, just make content. It doesn't have to be the most polished. It doesn't have to be like super high production value. Just put your face there, like give people value. So it depends on the business, I guess. Like for us, it was like, okay, people are buying this coffee and they're going home with it now. How the fuck do I tell them how to make our coffee good at home? Because otherwise they're going to come back and be like, yo, I made your coffee as shit. Like I had it here, I liked it, I made it at home as shit. So how do I got to make sure people are doing like the right things to make the coffee correctly at home. So that's how that was kind of born. But I'd say like, just get comfortable being in front of it. The other thing is people can get, I think, really maybe like sensitive about kind of how they look in videos.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like, so man, I've done videos like where I fucking am like hung over, my eyes are like falling out of my fucking face, hair's all jacked up. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, at the end of the day, it's not a beauty pageant. Like, just fucking get out there and provide your audience value. Because if you wait for it to be super polished, like you're going to need, I mean, you guys are lucky. I like that you guys are friends here doing videos and stuff together. You guys have obviously some editing skills and stuff like that. But like, if you don't have like people like that have the time and are willing to work with you on that, man, you got to do it yourself. So if you wait for that shit, you're going to be waiting forever.
It's true. It's true. And I really like the way that, because you ran your own marketing business and it goes to show, I mean, you ran that really young, right?
Yeah.
Like you were how old?
Like probably like 20.
Right. So you ran that really young. You kind of, it almost like you not pioneered, but you were one of the early stages to this same color effects on every single post that shows, okay, this is 416. People get to know and they're loyal followers. You're building that every single day by posting this content. Like massively, by just keeping everything consistent and having this sort of style to your videos. It's extremely cool. I'm kind of fanboying because I love what you do. How do you kind of like, that idea obviously came from the marketing, but coming up with the brand for 416, that's like, what was that process like?
Yeah. So
did you envision it right away?
No. So I'd say like 416 Coffee has been this thing that has kind of grown as I've grown, as me and Carm have grown the business together.
Right.
And evolved. So there's brands that I look up to. And I was a big fan of like the LA coffee shop scene because I was looking at what was going on here. And I looked at kind of like our industry, big industry players here, Pilot, 49th Parallel, Phil and Sebastian. All of them make excellent coffee, but all of them do, in my opinion, roughly the same thing. They have, this super polished kind of third wave vibe. They, all compete on the same principles. Ethical sourcing, quality. They could all the same thing. The same kind of three things are always brought up.
It's like the branding isn't different for each business. Is that what you're kind of saying?
All of them, like they're separate entities, but I mean, if you like just all the messages that they send are very much the same.
Right.
So I was like, why isn't there like, and then in LA, I was looking at the coffee shops there, like Alfred's, Coffee Dose, and like some of those places, and they were like so cool. And they weren't talking so much about their actual coffee, which is where we differ, but I was like, they did something that was so cool where like celebs wanted to go there. And I was like, man, there's no coffee that's like hot in like, if you think about like rap music videos. I'm going to go there for a
Yeah,
second.
yeah.
You think about like alcohol being displayed. There was no coffee that would be like displayed in a music video that anyone would be like, this is sick. So I was like, how do I make something that's like really cool that people want to like take pictures of cups and take pictures of bags and like, it's like a flex to have this coffee.
Right.
That was kind of like, and we're still building that, but that's kind of like the general thesis of like, let's build something that's really cool and not compete on all the same things that everyone else competes on. We're doing all those things. We make an excellent product. We do have great sourcing practices, but it's like, it's not the forefront because everyone else is saying the same message. So it's just like, I'm competing on different things. Have you ever read the book Blue Ocean Strategy?
No, I haven't.
But
you saying it makes me like I should.
Everyone watching this, if you own a business, you need to read Blue Ocean Strategy. So it talks about kind of finding a blue ocean away from competition, creating new markets. They talk about how Cirque du Soleil did this. I think they went bankrupt though because of COVID. But anyways, before
that's
COVID,
unfortunate. Yeah,
poor timing. But Cirque du Soleil, Yellowtail Wine, Yellowtail Wine quickly developed a market so quickly because they went after people that weren't drinking wine. Wine was snotty. Wine was, you had to be like super intellectual and like, oh, like you're like a fucking sommelier to buy wine.
Yeah.
And they're like, yo, let's just make a wine that's like super fruity and fun and we'll just get it on everyone's table. And boom, they did it. And they did like more sales of that wine than anything else, like any other wine, right? They destroyed.
Wow.
And they did it in a short period of time. So yeah, so thinking about, for us, like coffee, it's developing a blue ocean and then kind of inserting ourselves somewhere where we can stand apart, where there's like, for anyone else to leave their position, like they'd lose it to someone else. So everyone else kind of stay on the perimeters.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
No,
Like
I know
competing on
exactly
their
what
thing.
you're saying. It's because it's really interesting. You've almost like taken part of that market share because you have this like I almost want to use the word cult, but not cult, but like club and feeling around your brand. Like this is what you feel when you drink 416 coffee. And I know that sounds so generic, but at the same time, no real other businesses, especially local businesses, I would even consider your competition is like Starbucks, like these huge companies, because you're way out of the local league. You are local, like you're around here and you got 2 shops. You don't have, 10,000.
No.
But you're with the branding, you're competing against these huge companies. You're making yourself stand out.
And that's the thing, right? And that's the other thing is also that has to do with like my ambition, Carm's ambition. We never set out to build a small business. So
you guys want to make it big, yeah.
100%. So we've always run the business though like it's a big business. As far as how we think about, our big moves and shit, like it's always been, let's build something that's long-term. Let's build something that's like withstanding. So that obviously in the short term, that puts you under a lot of stress, but it's why what you're saying right now actually makes sense to me is like, yeah, we do kind of stand out. We do operate on a different level because we've always thought about things that way. We always thought about Starbucks as our competition.
Yeah. And now I want to get into that because like you just got to look at 416 Coffee and take what Chris said today, look at their Instagram and think, okay, I can take all of this, start an Instagram account, and I'll get to 1,000 followers within like 3 months, no questions asked, really easily if you just take this advice. So listen to it. Let's move on because I want to hear, and I'm really interested, like growing 416.
Yeah, the business or the account or both, they grew hand in hand.
Let's talk about the business.
Yeah.
So like obviously making more revenue every single year. Like what kind of things are you doing right now and what aspirations? Obviously you have huge aspirations with Carm being a little bit older. Does he ever want to slow down? Like what does that kind of look like?
We're not slow people. Like it's just who we are, right?
Yeah.
Like we're like hyper ambitious, always like go.
Very similar, eh?
100%. Yeah, that's where I get it from. So it's good. Like we definitely want to keep working, and Carm I think is down to keep working for the foreseeable till like some fucking, I don't know, his hip breaks or something. Like 90
Falls
years old.
down the stairs.
That's it. Yeah, if he takes a fucking tumble. But that's otherwise we're just gonna go. But you were saying about growing the business. Yeah, so right now, I mean, online was a big channel for us to grow, especially during the pandemic. So everything was shut down. Online sales went through the roof. We were able to kind of optimize that. And now we have the 2 locations. Grimsby's developing a market quite well.
Right.
For us right now, it's probably looking at, honestly, more opening of stores than it is increasing same store revenue. So same store revenue is going up on all stores, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
But for us, it's like growth would be more like opening up another location and then either potentially formulating things to go down like a franchise model.
Yeah.
Or opening up more corporate stores, which is kind of something we want to open up another one for sure, and then kind of see where we're at as far as like which path
that'd be
looks
3,
better.
right?
That'll be 3. Like technically we kind of have 3 right now, but yeah, that'll be 3 proper retail locations because our factory has a full bar.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So yeah,
I remember seeing that. It's very interesting because it's like you could be on that level, and I think in time you will be in the level of like 20, 30, 40 stores around Ontario.
Yeah.
Like realistically. And I can see that that's kind of where you want to bring it.
100%.
It's just like, how do I, not even really how, you know how, and you'll learn throughout the way. Now, let me ask you about this franchising. We'll get really into business here. Is like, are you nervous that with franchising that your branding would differ?
So this is where we're at right now. Number one, that would be like obviously a lot of legal agreements and things like that. I'd say right now at 2 locations, the key thing that we're focusing on is building out our systems so that the business can really grow, right? When it was 1 location and me and Carm were in there a lot, it was like run and gun. We kind of knew how things were done almost intuitively.
Right. It became secondhand, right? Like,
yeah, and it was me and him. We were the brand. We were in there, so we were carrying the brand well. We knew kind of what to do. Now that we're at 2 locations, we have a team. We're like, okay, like building out training manuals, building out procedures, doing events with our team, bringing our team into the factory, walking them through processes, training them on how to make beverages. So it's just kind of, now it's like, okay, we have 2 locations, we have all these people. Let's make sure everyone is kind of on the same page, and let's make a system so that when we grow, we can put people through the system, have them come out being like our ideal employees,
right?
Our ideal team members, right? Someone that can really grow with the brand, someone that understands the brand, understands coffee, and is passionate about sharing that with people.
And is very outgoing. I think that's another big one that is a lot like you. And I mean, that's like the ideal employee, let's be real, is somebody that's like you, somebody who started the business just like them.
100%.
Right? So, because I find that very interesting, you know, franchising can be a great thing. It can be a really bad thing that can just burn your business to the ground. I think like what you're saying is like taking it slow, not necessarily taking it slow, because I know you're not a slow guy, but developing the systems to where you can like expand controllably. I think that's a good way of talking about it. Now, in doing so, like, I'm going to
cut you off for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So you said the slow thing, and I just want to say there's a Chinese kind of saying, it's slow, fast, fast. And what that means is that in the long term, you can be slow. So be slow, be methodical, have your big goals, think about getting there.
Right.
But in the day-to-day, move like your fucking ass is on fire. And that's important.
Yeah.
So for us, it's like, yes, we have the big goals. Yes, we have these things that we need to do. But on the day-to-day, we move like our asses on fire.
Yeah.
So that's important. So
No. Thank you for touching on that. Now, taking your employees, next thing I want to ask you is like turnaround with employees. I know you treat your employees extremely well, which is so crucial. I'm kind of going to throw McDonald's under the bus here because I worked there.
Yeah.
And it wasn't great.
It wasn't great.
Employees are not treated well.
Okay.
I'm going to be totally honest. And that's why I think they're constantly hiring. That's why I think so many fast food places like that are constantly hiring, because it's like they get so big where no matter what you say, you could have 1,000 people in like this boardroom saying, okay, these are the right people to hire. It won't work. It just won't work, because it's like you cannot replicate every single location. So now I want to ask you, you know, you've got employees coming, they're in school, they might be in high school. Maybe it's not something they want to do for the rest of their life is sell this coffee. How do you kind of handle that? Obviously, I know treating your employees well is a big one. But like, is there any nerves there, like with how you're going to grow in terms of that, like with employees? Like, what does that kind of look like? Because I'm really curious.
So I'd say number one, we pay all of our employees well above minimum wage. So that's the beginning of it. Everyone gets paid well above minimum wage. So that obviously puts us in like a realm of its own.
Yeah,
like I didn't want someone to feel like, oh, I could be going and working at McDonald's or Tim Hortons and making the same money.
Yeah.
Because we're asking them to do a better job and give a lot more of themselves. The other thing is, like, as far as like perks, coffee education, like new coffee releases, my employees all go home with bags. Christmas, everyone's getting gifts. Everyone's getting like,
that's awesome.
Usually
like that's.
Yeah, so it's those small things that I think make a big difference. We also like just take everyone's feedback. Like, for example, we have an employee at our port location. Her name's Katura. She's super artistically talented. Kestra's got chalk. Kestra goes ham outside with the chalk every day. Kestra designed one of our tags for the coffee. So like if there's room for them to use, and obviously like I'm using Kestra as an example, she's very open about like she went to school for kind of marketing communications.
Right.
And that's what she wants to do like long term. And will we be able to grow big enough where we can have Kestra come into our team in a role like that?
As like a marketing role, right?
Which would be amazing. I don't know if that's going to be the case though. But I'll try my best to give Kestra opportunities to do things she wants. And it's totally cool I understand if she's looking for something else and wants something bigger one day. Like I totally understand. So it's just like approaching everyone, kind of understanding each person on an individual level. And then giving them the tools they need to succeed, not only in the job, but in their life beyond the job.
And what's interesting, you really pointed that out there, is tapping into their skills, skill sets, which I don't think a lot of businesses do. They just tell their employees, this is the way to do it, and this is how you're going to do it, and then your skills don't matter, your thoughts don't matter,
I think like if you're a big, like I don't know what it looks like to be McDonald's, but for us right now, we're growing. So we need things we don't even know we need. So I'll give you another example. Shelby, shout out to Shelby, one of our leads at our Grimsby location. She develops a whole bunch of checklists, procedures for employees to do. Shelby's been extremely important in developing our team and developing systems for our team in the store level, because Shelby's worked for larger coffee chains and understands kind of the systems that we need to have to grow. Right. So, because me and Carmen never worked for a bigger coffee chain, right?
Yeah.
So
you guys are full-blown entrepreneurs.
That's it. Yeah. No, I haven't worked for someone fucking since I was a kid. So yeah. So it's like, so having those people and giving them the reins, like at the end of the day, if you hired someone, hopefully you hired them because you think highly of them. Yeah. So giving them opportunities to express themselves, to learn, and to teach you something is important. Now, obviously, within reason, there's some things, we're a dictatorship on. We want things done a certain way.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
We have high standards and things like that, but we're always open to learning from our team, and that's a big thing. I think people can get an inflated sense of ego. Although me and Carmen definitely both have an ego, but it can get inflated.
At least you can admit it, right?
That's it, man. But we definitely listen to our team and we learn from people.
Well, so. I find it so, not funny, but like interesting how, like, for example, you're talking about your one employee, how you literally let her draw chalk on the pavement to just to touch on her skills and to get people in using that artistic ability. Who does that? Well, Nobody does that.
No, it's Port, and like I remember for like National Coffee Day, she did this like sick thing. Man, probably like 10 people shared that shit on Instagram with their 416 cup, right?
Yeah.
And that was like something that she was like, oh, it was slow in the morning. There's chalk there. Took 10 minutes and did it because she wanted to do it. Like no one was like, hey, make sure you write on the ground today. No, she just gets out there and like thinks of something clever and says it. But it's like, yeah, people are sharing that, and it's a small thing, but it makes a difference.
It's almost like you let them have. It's like, obviously there's things that has to be done a certain way, and some things you got to say like, no, you can't do this. But at the same time, it's like you let them play a part or a big role, or let them feel like they have a big role in the business, which they do, first of all. But you make sure that point comes across.
No, 100%, man. Right? Like it's like everyone has something to teach us, and it's fine. We have other people that like maybe are more like by the books. They don't kind of do anything like they don't do any extra stuff because they're in school or something. That's fine too, and they do a hell of a job. And it's just getting people excited about where they work and making sure that everyone's getting like paid fairly. And also like if anyone ever needs money, like they can always come talk to us. Like we just try to make it like we're a team for real. So and we're actually trying to go do something big. So we need to have people all.
Well, and that's what I like is like you are really a family. Like businesses kind of throw that term under the bus because it's like, they get so big where they can't handle that. But I feel like with the way you want to take it, you may never have 10,000 stores across North America for 416, and you'd be cool with that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that every single location that you're going to open, whether it's 100, 200, 300,000, that each one of those locations, the employees are going to feel like they can actually do something to benefit the business and feel like they want to.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? And it's like, it all goes down to treating your employees well, which you do. Paying them well is obviously a big one. Sometimes it's hard for people to do that, but you're investing into your business. You literally are. It's not like this expense, it's an investment. So when you hire somebody new, it's an investment.
Yeah, no.
I had that learning lesson coming now, hiring 2 new guys, right? It's like you kind of come to understand it's not an expense. Although on the books it may be, but you're investing into growing your business, right?
100%, man. Yeah, HR is massively important. Napoleon used to say that the morale of his men was worth 10x, meaning that if your team is fired up to compete, to do something with excellence, you can take on an opponent 10 times bigger, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of what we do. So we try to make sure that our team is fired up about what they do. And
of course.
Honestly, man, it starts with just giving a shit about people.
Yeah.
So, it's not all me and Carm. Like, we care about our team. We care about what they're going through.
Yeah, and that family-orientated mindset, I feel like, because you're Italian, it screams, right? Is like, especially with your dad, you're very close with your dad and your family in general.
Yeah.
You kind of see that. I feel like you let people know that that's me for everybody.
Yeah.
Right? Like you are that family orientated mindset and want to treat people right and care and respect them. Right?
Oh, 100%. Like if it's like, we definitely stand up for our employees. Like whenever there's been a complaint or anything that's kind of went wrong, I've always went and spoken to the employee first in the sense of like what happened. Cause like I'm totally okay if this person was just having an effed up day and we want to leave it there, then fucking that's what it is. Like I'm not definitely, I don't blame my employees. I always take their side first with any situation.
It's like standing up for them, right?
100%. Yeah. Perfect example. Some guy came in one time.
Oh no.
Some guy comes in one time and I guess he gets an espresso and he's probably used to going to like maybe an old school, like Italian kind of social club and getting that kind of espresso. So he gets one from us and he tells Daniela, who's went to school now, so she'll probably be back in the winter with us a bit.
Yeah.
Tells her like, oh, like I'm not going to pay for it. Like it wasn't good. And like, God forbid, Carm rolls up like 2 seconds later while this guy's still there. Carm goes outside and is like, why aren't you going to pay for it? Like, Carm's like, no, I'm just asking. Like, why aren't you going to pay for it? And the guy's like, oh, gets all like kind of weird about it. And then next thing you know, he's inside paying for all the coffees, leaving a tip, whatever. Because it's just like, yeah, God. Like, what are you going to, like, what, you go to a place and you see like a young girl working and what, you're going to like try to take advantage of her and be like, oh, I'm not paying for this guy. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Like, you ordered an
And
espresso.
I'm sure, because I know Daniela.
Yeah.
She went to elementary school with me and then high school as well. Very nice person. It's almost like you want to preach like, guys, you can stand up for yourselves and you have a voice. Like it matters, right?
Yeah, 100%.
It's huge.
No, because there's people like that all the time that'll come in and maybe try to take advantage based on like who's working or like would say something that they wouldn't say if me or Carm or my brother was there or something like that. So yeah, and a lot of our workforce is female. So we try to, we definitely stick up for everybody. And everyone sticks up for each other, which is important. So
100%. Yeah. Okay. So moving on from that, like treating your employees well is obviously a big one. And I think we touched on that. I wanted to get into that a little bit because businesses need to understand as they grow. It's one thing to like start from the beginning, like entrepreneur mindsets, creative guys like me and you, we like that starting process because it's fun. It's like, it's dirty. We want to just get in there. We want to like, we love coming up with new ways, right? And then growing it, we don't even worry about it. We just want to start it first, and then we can worry about growing it.
Yeah.
But I think it's important for people to understand is that growing it is actually more important than starting it.
Scaling HR is easily the hardest thing and will be the challenge going forward.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Like if me and Carm could like duplicate ourselves and work at every location, didn't have to worry about HR, it'd be a fucking cakewalk. Like it'd already be over. Like, you know what I mean? It'd be done.
Yeah.
We'd be at the finish line. So I'd say like that's going to be the hardest part. So focusing on being a leader, learning to be a leader. I mean, the other thing is I employ a lot of people that are older than me. So it's even understanding that and seeing how they see me in that light and things like that.
It's like a friendship.
Yeah,
right?
growing
a respected friendship, mutual.
100%. Yeah. And I like to use the word team, not family, because like a team, people get traded from the team if they're not performing. You don't trade people off your family. So the 416 is a team.
Yeah, I like that.
Like, I love you guys, but you got to perform.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
a team.
It's actually, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
It's like a sports team, literally.
Pretty
Big
much,
sports guy. Yeah.
That's
All
it.
right, man. Well, listen, let's get into a little bit about like the growth, and then we'll probably have to cut it off. We've got a bit time left. I want to talk a little bit about now, 5 years from now, really specifically, 416, can you give us some of your dreams? I don't care how crazy they are. I want to hear them because I think it'd be really cool. I love them. So give us that.
5 years from now, I'd say probably like I'd like to have like 50 locations, be be one of the biggest coffee brands in Ontario. I'd like to do some crazy collab. Like I want to do a
influencer.
No,
not influencer.
I want like a 416 Coffee Nike shoe deal one day. I'm telling you, it's gonna fucking happen. Like,
yeah,
I don't know if it's gonna happen in 5 years. That might be a couple decades out. But I'm telling you, we're gonna do the weirdest, most insane fucking collab ever. So that's going to be a thing. Like, there's going to be a 416 by Nike shoe.
It's like a Red Bull. Like, you almost want to take the branding and I mean, because, like, let's be honest. I think the best brand out there is Red Bull. By far.
A fucking tremendous brand. They sponsor F1 teams. Yeah.
And they sell drinks.
That's it.
And they're on F1 cars. They're on sports athletes all the time. Like, they're everywhere. They host that, what's that event where they will pop up on the screen, the guys flying in the kites, they jump off it in the water.
It's crazy shit, man. Yeah. They had that one guy jump on with a motorcycle onto the Arc de Triomphe in France. Is fucking wild.
It's nuts. F1 cars through France, through the streets. Like, it's insane. So I kind of see that vision in you where it's like, I want to do stuff like this. Because it's like, this is the best way to market and it's the most fun.
100%. And I want to, I mean, I'd love for the brand to be like, I want the brand to be part of like the culture. Like, I want it to be something that like people are excited about the same way they were excited about like Patron tequila, the same way they were excited about Ciroc vodka.
Yeah.
Like that kind of shit. Like,
yeah, because you're dealing with like, you know, it's a lot easier to get excited about alcohol. Just because it has party to it. It's got, you know, coffee, early mornings, late nights, hardworking. It's got a lot of that to it as well.
With like the entrepreneur community, the hustler community.
Exactly. And I think like where, in terms of the brand, do you want to transition your messaging in 5 years to something where it's more like that? Or like, I don't know. I don't really know what I'm asking, but...
No, I know what you're saying. I'd like to kind of like slowly... I mean, I think in the Beans and Business podcast is the very early stages of that, but positioning ourselves as like the coffee for entrepreneurs, the coffee for hustlers, the coffee for... Because that's a market that I understand. That's a community that I've been a part of my whole life. That's a community all my friends are part of and my family's part of. So, kind of like building our brand around like this kind of coffee. Like if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to be drinking this in the morning. Yeah. Versus like,
It's like Gatorade.
Exactly
like Gatorade, right?
Athletes drink Gatorade, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I think it's really cool what you're doing and like kind of how you're positioning the brand so it's not just a coffee shop.
No, that's the thing, right? Like it's supposed to mean something beyond like, yeah, obviously we make the best drinks, the best coffee, great brewing at home, whatever. But like the brand's gonna stand for something else. Like I'm this kind of person because I go here.
It goes to show, and we'll wrap it up. It goes to show your professional but unique ways of branding by how successful 416 has been already. I'm sure it's hard to, you know, when you got your head down for so long, it's hard to stop and realize how much you've done. And I'm sure you maybe, if you're anything like me, you struggle with that. Is stopping and seeing what you've kind of done and how much it's grown. But from an outsider's perspective, it's working. Keep at it because it's like, I hear 50 locations, one of the biggest coffee brands in 5 years. To a lot of people, that seems like very little time. But to somebody who is constantly on the go, nonstop, has big dreams, big aspirations, creative ways of doing things, 5 years is like 25 to the average person.
Man, the other thing is like the one thing people struggle to wrap their heads around is exponential growth. So obviously you're looking at us now with like 2 locations, you're going to get to 50 in 5 years. Like, that doesn't make any sense. But like every time you open up another location successfully and that goes, that then makes it easier to open up. Like the third's going to be easier than the second. The fourth's going to be easier than the third. The fifth will be easier than the fourth. You know what I mean?
You get to the 25th and you're like 26, 7, 8, 9, 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember reading somewhere that it was a couple of years back, H&M, their growth projection for the year was a store a day was opening.
Holy.
Like worldwide, a store a day. So that's what I mean. People got to get their fucking perspective right on a lot of this shit because it's like people are moving at way bigger rates than you think are possible. So the second you realize that a brand like that could be doing things like that, 50 locations for 5 years seems slow, right? So, yeah.
Wow. That's incredible, man. Well, listen, I want to quick touch on like growing your brand. What is something you would say to, this is so hard because there's so many things you could say to so many different groups of people.
Yeah.
But I would probably say like young guys like you wanting to be business owners, whether they're getting into music, whether they're getting into video, whether they're getting into or starting a coffee brand or whatever it is, please touch on like, what would you say about branding in specific to kind of talk about this is what I'm gonna tell somebody, and this is how they're gonna get things done.
Volume. I'd say like don't get emotional or like super specific about like making this beautiful thing. Make content every day, especially if you're in music or anything like that. Make content every single fucking day.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing. Like make a bunch of content, put it out there, and then you're gonna learn, because you're gonna learn what takes off, what does really well with your audience, what no one likes, and then that you'll be able to refine kind of what people want from you, and that's gonna make your content better. Especially with music, anything like that, man. You got to put in your 10,000 hours. So put stuff out there, see what people like.
Yeah, 10,000 hours.
Refine.
I love it, dude. Listen, Chris, man, thank you so much for coming on. You had me on. I got to repay the favor, and you definitely outdid me on this one, but I'll get you back, brother. Yeah. Stay tuned, because we're going to do some more cool content with Chris. Started a vlog soon, so we're working on that with Chad and Josh in the background, and hoping to get a coffee special vlog type of thing
coming
in
up
there.
Man.
We'll be in touch, so that'll be great. But thank you for listening, guys. Cheers. We'll see you soon. Chris, thanks, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to this week's Golden Guest on the Meeting Gold podcast. If you learned something from today's episode, make sure to check out our other content on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram, and YouTube. Also, make sure to leave us a follow while you're there. Thanks, and have a golden day.